Ruby's Diner wasn't anything fancy. It was just a small restaurant tucked away on the edge of town, surrounded by old oak trees and cracked sidewalks. Inside, the walls were painted a faded yellow, and the air smelled like fried chicken and freshly brewed coffee. It wasn't the kind of place people visited for fine dining. Instead, it was where families came after soccer games, where tired truck drivers stopped for a quick meal, and where locals gathered to catch up on gossip. For most folks, Ruby's Diner was comforting because it felt familiar. But for Maya Johnson, it was more than that. It was her second home. Maya had been working at Ruby's Diner for nearly 5 years. At 32, she was known as the heart of the place. Her warm smile could brighten even the gloomiest days, and her laugh echoed through the diner like music. She always wore her signature red apron tied neatly around her waist, its pockets filled with pens, order pads, and sometimes even candy for kids who visited. To many customers, Maya wasn't just a waitress. She was a friend, someone who remembered their favorite dishes and asked about their lives with genuine interest. But tonight things felt different. The diner was busier than usual, with families packed tightly into booths and couples sharing meals at the counter. Maya moved between tables like a whirlwind, balancing plates of food and refilling drinks without missing a beat. Despite the chaos, she remained calm, her movements smooth and practiced. Years of experience had taught her how to handle even the toughest shifts. Still, something about this evening made her pause. At one of the corner tables sat a young boy named Ethan. He couldn't have been older than 8, but there was something about him that caught Maya's attention immediately. Unlike the other children running around or laughing loudly, Ethan sat perfectly still. His hands rested flat on the table, his fingers tracing invisible patterns across its surface. His eyes darted back and forth, taking in everything around him, yet never quite focusing on any one thing. Beside him, his mother sat scrolling endlessly on her phone, barely acknowledging her son. Maya approached the table with her usual cheerfulness. "Hi there," she said brightly, addressing both Ethan and his mother. "Welcome to Ruby's Diner. What can I get you today?" Ethan didn't respond. He didn't even look up. His mother glanced briefly at Maya before muttering an order, under her breath and returning to her phone. Maya hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to leave or stay. Something about Ethan tugged at her heartstrings. There was a quiet intensity in the way he studied the menu, as if he wanted desperately to say something but couldn't find the words. Instead of walking away, Maya knelt down beside Ethan so they were eye level. "Hey, buddy," she said softly, pointing to the colorful pictures on the menu. "Do any of these look good to you? Maybe pancakes? Or how about some mac and cheese?" For the first time since they'd arrived, Ethan lifted his head, his dark brown eyes locked onto hers, wide and curious. Though he didn't speak, Maya could see the gears turning in his mind. She smiled encouragingly. "Take your time," she added. "There's no rush." Ethan's mother finally looked up from her phone, surprised by Maya's patience. "He doesn't talk much," she explained quickly, almost apologetically. "Autism," she added, as if that explained everything. Maya nodded understandingly. "That's okay," she replied warmly. "We don't need words to figure out what tastes good, right?" She reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a small pack of crayons and a piece of paper. "Here," she said, placing them on the table in front of Ethan. "Why don't you draw me a picture of what you'd like to eat? Sometimes drawing helps us think better." Ethan stared at the crayons for a long moment before picking up a blue one. Slowly, he began sketching swirls and shapes on the paper. Maya watched silently, giving him space while keeping an eye on the other tables nearby. She noticed how carefully he held the crayon, how deliberate each stroke was. It was clear that Ethan poured his thoughts into every line he drew. As the minutes passed, Ethan's mother grew restless. "Come on, Ethan," she urged, glancing impatiently at her watch. "Just pick something already." But Maya intervened gently. "It's all right," she told the woman. "Let him take his time. He's doing great." Her words seemed to ease the tension slightly. Ethan's mother sighed and leaned back in her seat, though her fingers continued tapping nervously on the table. Meanwhile, Ethan kept drawing, completely absorbed in his work. When he finally finished, He slid the paper toward Maya shyly. On. It was a swirling galaxy of colors, bright yellows, deep blues, and fiery reds. In the center of the drawing was a plate of spaghetti topped with meatballs. "Oh, wow," Maya exclaimed, genuinely impressed. "This is amazing. Did you know we have spaghetti here, and guess what? Our meatballs are extra yummy." Ethan's lips twitched upward ever so slightly. Not quite a smile, but close enough to make Maya's heart swell with joy. Throughout the rest of the meal, Maya checked in on Ethan frequently. She brought him extra napkins when he accidentally spilled his drink, which happened twice, helped him cut his spaghetti into bite-sized pieces, and even joked about how messy eating pasta could be. Each time, Ethan responded with tiny gestures, a nod, a glance, or a flicker of a grin that showed he appreciated her efforts. By the end of the night, something remarkable had happened. While Ethan's mother paid the bill, Ethan reached out and touched Maya's hand lightly. Startled, she looked down at him. For the first time since they'd met, Ethan spoke. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice soft but clear. Tears welled up in Maya's eyes as she squeezed his hand gently. "You're welcome, sweetheart," she replied, her voice thick with emotion. "Any time." As Ethan and his mother left the diner, Maya waved goodbye, unaware that this seemingly ordinary interaction would change not only their lives but also countless others. What started as a simple act of kindness was about to spark a chain reaction of hope, healing, and miracles, and it all began with a little boy, a plate of spaghetti, and a waitress who refused to give up on him. This part sets the foundation for the story, introducing Maya and Ethan while highlighting their initial connection. The tone is heartfelt and relatable, designed to pull readers in emotionally. Let me know if you'd like me to continue expanding the next parts similarly. The next morning, Maya woke up with the same routine she followed every day. She brewed a pot of strong coffee, slipped into her uniform, and tied her signature red apron around her waist before heading to work. The diner was quiet when she arrived, the early morning sunlight streaming through the windows and casting golden streaks across the tables. It was peaceful, just the way Maya liked it before the lunch rush began. As she wiped down the counters and arranged condiments on each table, her mind drifted back to the night before. Ethan's shy smile and whispered "thank you" lingered in her thoughts. Maya had worked at Ruby's diner for years, meeting hundreds of customers, but there was something about Ethan that stuck with her. Maybe it was the way his eyes lit up when he finally spoke, or maybe it was the realization that even the smallest acts of kindness could mean so much to someone. Whatever it was, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that their encounter had been special. By mid-morning, the diner started filling up. Families with young children, construction workers grabbing a quick breakfast, and elderly couples sipping coffee filled the space. Maya moved from table to table, taking orders and chatting with regulars. Everything seemed normal, until a local news crew walked through the door. At first, Maya didn't think much of it. Reporters occasionally visited Ruby's diner to cover stories about community events or local businesses, but this time they weren't here for the diner itself. They were looking for her. "Are you Maya Johnson?" one of the reporters asked, holding a microphone toward her. Confused, Maya nodded. "Yes, that's me," she said cautiously. "What's going on?" The reporter smiled warmly. "We're here because of a viral post online. A mother shared how you went above and beyond to comfort her son, who has autism, during a recent visit to the diner. People are saying your kindness made a huge impact." Maya's jaw dropped. She hadn't expected anyone to notice what happened with Ethan, or for it to become public knowledge. "Oh my goodness," she stammered, shaking her head. "I didn't do anything extraordinary. I just tried to make him feel welcome." But as the reporter explained further, Maya realized the story had taken on a life of its own. Ethan's mother had posted about their experience on social media late the previous night. In her heartfelt message, she described how Maya had knelt beside Ethan, offered him crayons to express himself, and patiently helped him navigate the menu. She wrote about how Maya's compassion had brightened not only Ethan's evening but also reminded her, as a parent, of the importance of understanding and patience. The post quickly gained traction, with thousands of people liking, sharing, and commenting on it. Strangers praised Maya's empathy, calling her a hero and an inspiration. Some shared their own experiences of being treated kindly by strangers, while others vowed to pay it forward in their daily lives. By the time the news crew arrived, at Ruby's Diner, the hashtag #BeSomebodySunshine had already begun trending on social media. Despite the sudden attention, Maya felt overwhelmed rather than proud. She wasn't used to being in the spotlight, and the idea of strangers celebrating her actions made her uncomfortable. Still, she agreed to speak briefly with the reporters, hoping to redirect the focus back to Ethan and his journey. "I'm grateful for all the love and support," she told them sincerely. "But honestly, I was just doing my job. Every person deserves to feel seen and valued, especially kids like Ethan. I hope this inspires others to show kindness too." Later that afternoon, something unexpected happened. Ethan and his mother returned to the diner, not for another meal but to personally thank Maya. This time Ethan wasn't shy. As soon as he spotted Maya behind the counter, he ran up to her and handed her a folded piece of paper. "For you," he said softly, his voice clearer than it had been the night before. Curious, Maya unfolded the paper and gasped. On it was a beautiful drawing of a bright sun surrounded by smiling figures. Beneath it, written in shaky but legible handwriting, were the words, "You are my sunshine." Tears sprang to Maya's eyes as she knelt down to hug Ethan tightly. "Thank you, sweetheart," she whispered, her voice trembling. "This means so much to me." Ethan's mother stepped forward, her expression filled with gratitude. "I can't tell you how much your kindness meant to us," she said. "Ethan hasn't stopped talking about you since last night. He's decided he wants to try speaking more often, starting today." Maya blinked back tears, astonished by the impact her simple gesture had made. "That's wonderful," she replied, addressing both Ethan and his mother. "You're stronger than you know, Ethan. Keep shining." "Okay." Ethan nodded enthusiastically, clutching the drawing to his chest. For the first time, Maya noticed a spark of confidence in his eyes, a glimmer of hope that hadn't been there before. Over the next few days, Maya couldn't stop thinking about Ethan's determination to speak more. Inspired by his courage, she began paying closer attention to other customers at the diner. She made it a point to engage with everyone, no matter how busy she was. Whether it was complimenting a child's outfit, asking an elderly couple about their weekend plans, or simply thanking a tired worker for stopping by, Maya poured her heart into every interaction. Word of her kindness continued to spread. More and more people came to Ruby's Diner, not just for food but to meet Maya and hear her story. Some brought their own children with autism, hoping to create similar moments of connection. Others shared how her actions had inspired them to be kinder in their own lives. One particularly touching moment occurred when a young girl named Lily visited the diner with her parents. Like Ethan, Lily had autism and rarely spoke in public. When Maya approached their table, Lily clung to her mother's arm, refusing to look up. Instead of rushing off, Maya sat beside her and handed her a pack of crayons and paper. "Would you like to draw something for me?" Maya asked gently. Lily hesitated at first, but eventually, she picked up a purple crayon and began sketching. By the end of the meal, she had drawn a picture of a butterfly surrounded by flowers. Before leaving, she shyly handed the drawing to Maya, whispering a barely audible, "Thank you." Moments like these reinforced Maya's belief in the power of small gestures. Each smile, each word of encouragement, and each act of patience planted seeds of hope in people's hearts. And though Maya never sought recognition, she couldn't deny the ripple effect her actions were creating. As weeks turned into months, Maya noticed a shift not only within herself, but also in the community around her. Ruby's Diner became a gathering place for families dealing with autism and other challenges. Local teachers and therapists began visiting regularly, offering advice and resources to those in need. Even the diner's owner, Mrs. Ruby, got involved, hosting fundraising events to support organizations that helped neurodivergent individuals. Through it all, Maya remained humble. "I'm just one person," she often said when thanked for her efforts. "It's everyone else who's making the real difference." But deep down, Maya knew the truth. Her simple act of kindness toward Ethan had sparked a chain reaction. one that was changing lives far beyond what she could have imagined, and yet the best part of the story was still yet to come. As weeks turned into months, the story of Maya and Ethan continued to spread like wildfire. What started as a heartfelt post from Ethan's mother had blossomed into something much bigger, a movement that touched lives far beyond their small town. People everywhere were inspired by Maya's kindness, and Ruby's Diner became a symbol of hope and compassion. But for Maya, the real magic wasn't in the fame or attention. It was in the way her actions kept inspiring others to do good. One sunny afternoon, Maya arrived at work to find an unusual sight waiting for her outside the diner. A group of children, accompanied by their parents, stood holding handmade signs that read, "Thank you, Maya," and "You're our sunshine." Their faces lit up when they saw her, and several of them ran forward to give her hugs. "Ms. Maya, you helped my brother feel brave," one little girl said, tugging on her apron. "I drew this picture for you," another boy added, handing her a colorful drawing of the diner surrounded by smiling stick figures. Maya knelt down to their level, overwhelmed with emotion. "Thank you so much," she said, her voice trembling. "But remember, you are the ones doing the hard work. I'm just here to cheer you on." For the next hour, Maya spent time talking to each family, learning about their struggles and celebrating their victories. Some shared stories of how their children had overcome challenges, while others expressed gratitude for the sense of belonging they felt at Ruby's Diner. It was clear that the space had become more than just a restaurant. It was a sanctuary, where people could connect, share, and heal. Word of these gatherings reached local schools, and soon teachers began incorporating lessons about empathy and inclusion into their classrooms. One elementary school even launched a program called Spread the Sunshine, encouraging students to perform random acts of kindness and document them in journals. When the principal invited Maya to speak at an assembly, she hesitated at first, unsure if she deserved such recognition. But ultimately she agreed, knowing it might inspire the kids to continue spreading positivity. On the day of the assembly, the gymnasium buzzed with excitement. Hundreds of students sat cross-legged on the floor, their eyes wide with anticipation. As Maya stepped onto the stage, the room erupted into applause. She smiled nervously, waving to the crowd before beginning her speech. "When I met Ethan," she started, her voice steady despite the nerves, "I didn't think I was doing anything special. I just saw a child who needed a little extra love, and I gave it to him. That's all. But what happened next taught me something important. We never know how our smallest actions can change someone's life." She paused, looking out at the sea of young faces before continuing. "Kindness isn't always big or flashy. Sometimes it's as simple as sharing a smile, holding the door open for someone, or listening when they need to talk. Every act of kindness matters, no matter how small it seems. And together those little acts can create ripples that reach farther than we ever imagined." By the end of her speech, there wasn't a dry eye in the room, not even among the teachers. Students lined up afterward to thank Maya, promising to be kinder to their classmates and families. Many pledged to join the Spread the Sunshine initiative, eager to make a difference in their own communities. Back at Ruby's Diner, things were changing too. Mrs. Ruby, the owner, decided to dedicate one wall of the restaurant to notes of gratitude. Customers were encouraged to write messages about kindness they'd experienced or witnessed, creating a living mural of positivity. Before long, the wall was covered in colorful sticky notes, each carrying its own story of hope. After years of feeling invisible, someone finally saw me. One note read, "A stranger paid for my coffee today. It reminded me that goodness still exists," another said. "Thank you, Maya, for showing us what true kindness looks like," wrote yet another visitor. The wall quickly became a popular attraction, drawing visitors from neighboring towns. People would stand in front of it for hours, reading the notes and reflecting on their own lives. Some left inspired to start their own acts of kindness, while others simply found comfort in knowing they weren't alone. Meanwhile, Ethan's progress served as a beacon of hope for many families. With Maya's encouragement, he continued practicing, speaking and interacting with others. His confidence grew steadily, and soon he was able to hold short conversations without hesitation. His mother marveled at the transformation, crediting Maya not only for helping Ethan but also for reminding her of the importance of patience and understanding. To celebrate Ethan's achievements, his mother organized a community event called Shine Bright Night at Ruby's Diner. Families, friends, and supporters gathered to honor Ethan and others like him who were overcoming challenges every day. The evening featured speeches, performances, and art displays created by neurodivergent children. At the center of it all was Maya, who stood proudly beside Ethan as he addressed the crowd. "I used to be scared to talk," Ethan said, his voice clear and strong, "but Ms. Maya showed me that I'm not alone. She believed in me, and now I believe in myself." The audience erupted into applause, tears streaming down many faces. Maya hugged Ethan tightly, her heart swelling with pride, inspired by the success of Shine Bright Night. Other communities began hosting similar events. Schools, libraries, and parks transformed into spaces where people could come together to celebrate kindness and inclusion. Local businesses offered discounts to families dealing with autism, while therapists volunteered their time to provide free counseling sessions. Even restaurants outside of Ruby's Diner joined the cause, pledging to train their staff on how to interact respectfully with neurodivergent customers. Through it all, Maya remained humble. She refused interviews with national news outlets and declined offers to turn her story into a book or movie. "This isn't about me," she insisted whenever anyone suggested otherwise. "It's about all of us working together to make the world a better place." Still, she couldn't deny the impact her actions had made. Strangers approached her daily, sharing stories of how her kindness had inspired them to reach out to someone in need. A truck driver told her how he'd stopped to help a stranded motorist after hearing her story. A teenager revealed that she'd befriended a lonely classmate because of Maya's example. Each tale reinforced the idea that kindness truly was contagious, and that even the smallest gestures could spark monumental change. As winter approached, Ruby's Diner prepared for its annual holiday celebration. This year, however, the event took on new meaning. Families brought donations of toys, clothes, and food for those in need, turning the diner into a hub of generosity. Volunteers wrapped gifts, baked cookies, and sang carols, filling the air with warmth and laughter. On Christmas Eve, Maya stood behind the counter watching as people exchanged hugs and well wishes. Children played games in the corner, their laughter echoing through the room. For a moment, she allowed herself to reflect on everything that had happened since that fateful night with Ethan. What started as a simple act of kindness had grown into something extraordinary, a ripple effect that showed no signs of stopping. Maya knew she hadn't done it alone. It was the collective effort of everyone involved that had created such profound change. Yet, she also understood that her role had been crucial. By choosing to see Ethan not as a challenge but as a human being deserving of love and respect, she had set the wheels of kindness in motion. And as she looked around the bustling diner, filled with joy and connection, Maya realized something else. Miracles weren't always grand or supernatural. Sometimes they were born from moments of genuine care and compassion, moments like the one she'd shared with Ethan. Little did she know, the best part of the story was still unfolding. By the time spring rolled around, Ruby's Diner had become more than just a restaurant. It was a symbol of hope and unity for the entire town. What started as Maya's simple act of kindness toward Ethan had blossomed into a movement that touched every corner of the community. Families dealing with autism, teachers, therapists, business owners, and even strangers passing through were all connected by one thing: the belief that kindness could transform lives. One crisp April morning, Maya arrived at work to find an envelope taped to the diner's front door. Curious, she opened it and pulled out a handwritten letter. The note was from a woman named Sarah who lived 2 towns over. She wrote about how her son, Liam, had been struggling to communicate after being diagnosed with autism. Desperate for guidance, Sarah had stumbled upon Maya's story online and decided to visit Ruby's Diner with her family. "Seeing how you treated Ethan made me realize I wasn't doing enough for my own child," Sarah wrote. "You reminded me to slow down, listen, and show him love in ways he understands. Thank you for giving me the courage to try again." Enclosed with the letter was a photograph of Liam holding up a sign that read, "I'm learning to talk too." Tears filled Maya's eyes as she read the words. It was moments like these that reinforced her belief in the power of connection, even across distances. Inspired by stories like Sarah's, local leaders began taking notice of what was happening. At Ruby's Diner, the mayor declared the month of May Kindness Month in honor of Maya and the countless acts of compassion spreading throughout the town. Schools organized events where students shared their experiences of helping others, while businesses pledged to prioritize inclusivity in their hiring practices. Even the library launched a program called Stories of Sunshine, inviting people to share tales of kindness they'd witnessed or experienced. Ruby's Diner itself became a hub of activity. Every Saturday, families gathered for Sunshine Saturdays, a series of workshops designed to support neurodivergent individuals and their loved ones. Therapists offered free consultations, artists led creative activities, and volunteers served meals donated by local restaurants. The events drew crowds from neighboring towns, turning Ruby's Diner into a beacon of hope for communities far beyond its walls. Maya played a central role in organizing these gatherings, but she never sought the spotlight. Instead, she focused on creating spaces where people felt safe, seen, and valued. Whether it was comforting a crying child, offering advice to a worried parent, or simply sharing a smile with someone having a tough day, Maya poured her heart into everything she did. One particularly memorable Saturday, a young boy named Tyler attended his first workshop. Like Ethan, Tyler rarely spoke and often seemed overwhelmed in crowded places. His mother, Lisa, watched anxiously as he clung to her side, refusing to participate in any of the activities. But then Maya approached them with her usual warmth. "Hi, there, Tyler," she said softly, kneeling beside him. "Would you like to draw something with me? We have crayons, markers, anything you want." At first, Tyler hesitated, but when Maya handed him a bright orange marker, he tentatively began sketching shapes on a blank sheet of paper. Within minutes, he was fully absorbed in his drawing, his shoulders relaxing as he worked. By the end of the session, Tyler proudly held up his artwork, a vibrant picture of a rocket ship soaring through the stars. Lisa hugged Maya tightly, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "You've given us hope when we thought there was none left." Moments like these reminded Maya why she kept showing up, day after day. Though she didn't consider herself extraordinary, her actions had sparked a chain reaction that continued to ripple outward. People inspired by her kindness began paying it forward in their own ways. A local grocery store owner started leaving care packages for struggling families. A group of high school students organized a cleanup drive to beautify the park. Even children got involved, writing letters of encouragement to seniors living in nursing homes. As summer approached, the community came together to plan a grand celebration called the Sunshine Festival, held in the town square. The event featured live music, food trucks, art displays, and speeches from those whose lives had been touched by Maya's story. Families set up booths showcasing crafts made by neurodivergent children, while local chefs prepared dishes inspired by recipes shared during Sunshine Saturdays. On the day of the festival, thousands of people turned out to celebrate. Children ran between booths, laughing and playing games, while adults mingled, swapping stories of kindness and resilience. At the center of it all stood Maya, surrounded by friends, supporters, and the very families she had helped inspire. When it was time for speeches, Ethan stepped onto the stage alongside his mother and Maya. Now 10 years old, Ethan spoke confidently into the microphone, his voice steady and strong. "When I met Ms. Maya," he began, "I was scared to talk because I thought no one would understand me. But she showed me that I'm not alone, that there are people who care and want to help. Because of her, I learned to believe in myself, and now I want to help others believe in themselves too." The crowd erupted into applause, cheering loudly as Ethan raised his fist triumphantly in the air. Maya wiped away tears, overwhelmed by the sight of the boy who had once been so quiet now standing tall and proud. Ethan's speech marked a turning point, not just for him, but for the entire community. Inspired by his words, people redoubled their efforts to spread kindness wherever they went. Schools integrated lessons about empathy and inclusion into their curriculums, teaching students the importance of seeing the world through someone else's eyes. Businesses implemented training programs to ensure their employees understood how to interact respectfully with neurodivergent customers. Even social media campaigns encouraged people to share stories of positivity using the hashtag I'd be somebody's sunshine, which had gained millions of followers worldwide. But perhaps the most profound change occurred within the individuals themselves. Strangers became friends, barriers broke down, and hearts opened in ways no one had anticipated. People who had once felt isolated found solace in knowing they weren't alone. Those who had doubted their ability to make a difference discovered the incredible impact of small, intentional actions. For Maya, watching this transformation unfold was both humbling and awe-inspiring. She had always believed in the power of kindness, but she never imagined it could create such widespread change. Still, she remained grounded, reminding everyone that the real heroes were the ones embracing vulnerability and choosing to connect despite their fears. "You don't need to be famous or rich to make a difference," she often said during interviews and speeches. "All you need is a willing heart and the courage to take the first step. Kindness isn't about perfection, it's about effort. And when we come together, our efforts can move mountains." As the seasons changed and the leaves turned golden, Ruby's Diner continued to thrive, not just as a place to eat, but as a reminder of what humanity could achieve when united by compassion. The wall of gratitude inside the diner grew taller and wider, covered in notes from people whose lives had been touched by kindness. Visitors came from near and far to add their messages, each one a testament to the enduring power of connection. And yet Maya knew the journey was far from over. There were still challenges to face, hearts to heal, and bridges to build. But she also knew that as long as people chose to see the light in one another, miracles would keep happening. Because sometimes, all it takes is one person to shine brightly and inspire everyone else to do the same. Years passed, and the story of Maya Johnson and Ethan became a legend, a tale told not just in their small town but across the country. What had started as a quiet moment between a waitress and a shy boy had grown into something far greater, a movement that reminded people of the transformative power of kindness. The ripples of that single act continued to spread, touching lives in ways no one could have predicted. By now, Ruby's Diner was more than just a restaurant. It was a landmark. Tourists from neighboring states visited to see the place where it all began. Inside, the wall of gratitude remained a centerpiece, its surface covered with thousands of colorful sticky notes. Each note carried a story of hope, resilience, or gratitude, forming a tapestry of human connection. Some messages were written by locals who had witnessed the transformation firsthand, while others came from strangers inspired by the viral posts and news stories about Maya. One crisp autumn morning, Maya arrived at work to find an unexpected visitor waiting for her, Ethan. Now a teenager, he stood tall and confident, his once shy demeanor replaced by a radiant smile. Beside him was his mother, holding a framed certificate. "Ms. Maya," Ethan said, his voice steady and proud. "We wanted to give you this." Maya took the certificate in her hands and read the inscription aloud. "In recognition of your unwavering compassion and dedication to creating a kinder world, Ethan Johnson has been awarded the National Youth Advocacy Award for Autism Awareness." Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at Ethan. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered, pulling him into a tight hug. "You've come so far, Ethan. This is all because of you, your hard work, your courage, your determination." Ethan shook his head. "No, Ms. Maya. It's because of you. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You showed me that kindness can change everything." The diner erupted into applause as customers and staff gathered around to celebrate Ethan's achievement. For Maya, it was a moment of profound joy and reflection. She thought back to that night years ago when Ethan had first walked into Ruby's Diner, unsure and hesitant. She had simply tried to make him feel welcome. never imagining how much that small gesture would mean, not just to him, but to countless others. As word of Ethan's award spread, invitations poured in for Maya to speak at conferences, schools, and community events. Though she initially resisted, fearing the attention, she eventually agreed, knowing her words might inspire even more people to embrace kindness. At each event, she shared her story, emphasizing that acts of compassion didn't need to be grand or dramatic to make a difference. One smile, one kind word, one moment of understanding, that's all it takes, she often said during her speeches. We don't have to save the world all at once. Sometimes saving someone's day is enough. Her message resonated deeply, sparking conversations about empathy and inclusion wherever she went. Teachers incorporated her philosophy into their classrooms, encouraging students to practice kindness daily. Businesses adopted policies designed to support neurodivergent employees and customers. Even families began hosting kindness nights, where they shared stories of helping others and brainstormed ways to spread positivity in their communities. Back home, Ruby's Diner continued to serve as a hub of inspiration. The annual Shine, Bright Night celebration grew larger every year, drawing visitors from across the nation. Families shared their journeys, artists displayed their creations, and speakers delivered powerful messages about overcoming challenges through love and understanding. Each event reinforced the idea that everyone had the potential to shine brightly, regardless of their circumstances. One particularly memorable evening featured a young girl named Lily, who had attended the diner's workshops years earlier. Now 12 years old, Lily stood confidently on stage addressing the crowd. "When I met Ms. Maya," she began, her voice clear and strong, "I thought I'd never be able to talk to anyone outside my family. But she taught me that it's okay to take things slowly, that progress doesn't happen overnight. Because of her, I learned to use my voice, and now I want to help others find theirs too." The audience erupted into applause, many wiping away tears. Maya sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Watching children like Ethan and Lily thrive filled her heart with gratitude, not just for the role she had played in their lives, but for the reminder that kindness truly was contagious. As the years went by, Maya's influence extended beyond her immediate community. Schools nationwide implemented programs based on the principles of Be Somebody's Sunshine, teaching students the importance of empathy and inclusion. Social media campaigns encouraged people to share stories of kindness, creating a global network of positivity. Even corporations joined the movement, pledging to prioritize compassion in their workplaces and communities. Despite the widespread recognition, Maya remained humble. She refused lucrative offers to write books or star in documentaries, insisting that the focus should remain on the individuals whose lives had been transformed. Instead, she continued working at Ruby's Diner, serving meals and spreading smiles one customer at a time. On her 50th birthday, the town threw a surprise party for Maya at the diner. Hundreds of people showed up, including Ethan, Lily, and countless others whose lives she had touched. The walls were adorned with photos and drawings from over the years, chronicling the journey from that fateful night to the present day. As Maya stood on stage, surrounded by friends and supporters, she addressed the crowd with heartfelt gratitude. "When I started working here all those years ago, I never imagined my life would turn out this way," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "All I wanted was to make people feel welcome, to remind them that they mattered. But what I've learned along the way is that we're all connected. Every act of kindness creates a ripple, and those ripples can grow into waves of change." She paused, looking out at the sea of smiling faces before continuing. "This isn't just my story, it's our story. Together, we've shown the world that kindness isn't just an action, it's a way of life. And as long as we keep choosing to see the light in one another, miracles will keep happening." The crowd erupted into cheers, chanting "Maya, Maya," as confetti rained down from the ceiling. For a brief moment, Maya allowed herself to bask in the love and appreciation surrounding her. But deep down, she knew the real magic lay not in the accolades or celebrations. It lay in the countless moments of connection she had shared with others. In the years that followed, Ruby's Diner underwent renovations to accommodate its growing popularity. The original red booths were preserved as a nod to its history, while new murals depicting scenes of kindness adorned the walls. Visitors from around the world came to experience the warmth and spirit of the place, leaving inspired to carry its message back to their own communities. Maya eventually retired from waitressing, passing the torch to younger generations eager to uphold the diner's legacy. Her final shift was marked by laughter, tears, and heartfelt goodbyes from customers who considered her family. Though she stepped away from daily work, her presence remained woven into the fabric of Ruby's diner and the hearts of those who had been touched by her kindness. Even in retirement, Maya stayed active in promoting kindness and inclusivity. She volunteered at local schools, mentored young advocates, and continued speaking at events whenever possible. Her story served as a reminder that ordinary people could achieve extraordinary things, not through grand gestures, but through consistent, heartfelt actions. Decades later, long after Maya's passing, Ruby's Diner remained a symbol of hope and unity. Its legacy lived on in the countless lives it had transformed, in the movements it had inspired, and in the belief that even the smallest acts of kindness could spark monumental change. And so, the story of Maya Johnson and Ethan became more than just a tale. It became a legacy of light shining brightly for generations to come.